Hey guys, welcome to BP, the Bible Perspective. Why did the prosperity message work for the prosperity teachers and not you? Now, before we get into it, please like and share this video and subscribe to BP, the Bible Perspective. And as always, if you have a thought or comment, add it to the comments section below. All comments are welcome. Now, let me just say this. I was saved under the ministry of Frederick Casey Price. He was one of the architects of the Word of Faith movement. And so this message may seem like it's kind of contradictory, but it's not. I respect him as a pastor and the impact that he has had on my life. In other words, God used that man to impact my life culturally, spiritually. The fact that we have a Bible perspective and the daily word verse by verse, which I teach also verse by verse through the Bible, came from Frederick Casey Price. Now that said, the message of faith and prosperity was wrong and it didn't work. Now, up until the time that he died, he preached the word of faith message and prosperity. In fact, even now they are airing the Ever Increasing Faith broadcast, which is the television ministry of Crenshaw Christian Center. They're airing old broadcasts of Fred Price teaching on guaranteed answered prayer, different subjects of faith. And it's kind of amazing because when I go back and scan through some of them, it's amazing that I remember the teachings vividly. And so one of the things that he taught was that you should be prosperous, you should be rich, and if you have enough faith, you can kind of create your own reality. That's what he taught, and that's what he said he practices. In fact, he would even say in his messages that the message was working for him. Now, all of the faith teachers say that the message is working for them. Kenneth Copeland, Creflo Dollar, the late Charles Capps, the late Kenneth Hagin Jr., Jerry Savelle. All of these are prominent faith teachers who push the faith movement. Now there are, of course, a lot more. You can call them first generation faith, word of faith teachers, and second and third generation word of faith teachers. But those were sort of the main ones, especially back in the early days in the 70s. And basically, again, they said the message was working for them. And then not only that, but they was able to point to their life of luxury, their opulence, to say, see, it's working for us. Well, it didn't work for them. And the same reason why it didn't work for them is not the same reason why it's not working for you. So the question is, what did work for them? See, I'm not denying they wasn't prosperous. Obviously, they prospered. They were successful in ministry, in terms of what they would say is their ministry. They had extremely large ministry, popular ministries. They were successful authors, books, itinerant speakers, and as a result of it, they are millionaires. Okay, so the question is, if I say, why did the message work for them? It really didn't work for them. Here's what worked for them. Not the teaching and not the principles. Just keep this in mind. Frederick Casey Price just passed away from COVID-19 or complications from COVID-19. Over the past few years, he had been gravely ill, starting with TB and then kidney issues. Okay. And then, as I said, COVID-19, he just recently passed away from it. So the question is, well, why didn't his faith work? Now, one of the disclaimers, or I call it gold post moving statements, is, well, while he was fighting a good fight and winning, reality is, but I'll get back to that in a moment, he wasn't winning at all. But what they usually say is things like, well, as he was fighting the good fight of faith, he kind of looked over into heaven and saw that heaven was better and decided to stay. But that's simply not true. He was confessing his healing. He was speaking and confessing, and the very thing that he's teaching on that they're airing right now, he was doing. It didn't work. So why did the prosperity message work for them? As I said, it didn't work. Here's what worked. You see, there's a 1-to-1 ratio in marketing and ministry building that if you do that, you will be a success. Now, what do I mean? You start off with a message, the prosperity message, healing, faith. Everybody wants to hear that. It's positive, and it gives people hope. And I want to say false hope. See, today, not one person can say, as a direct result of the teachings of the Word of Faith movement in terms of prosperity and healing, that a person can stand up and say, I received it. Now you may say again, the faith teachers claim they have received it. The faith teachers claim that the message is working for them. Then you have to ask the question, then why did Kenneth Hagin die of his illness, Charles Capps, and now Fred Price? Well, here's the thing. The faith message is great if you're healthy. The prosperity message is wonderful in a time when the land is prosperous, such as America. You notice they don't spend a lot of time in poor areas. No money. But even when America go through their rough times, what do these ministries do? Lay off. Why? Because the money is not there. Even though they all claim to have, in the name of the ministries, sown prosperity seeds, financial seeds for the 100-fold return. The 100-fold return is a part of the prosperity message. That's the big payday. And yet, throughout the last 50 years, when the nation has hit rough times in terms of the economy, those ministries laid off people. They didn't say, all right, let's draw from our heavenly bank account. That's part of the message, that when you sow into ministries, you're actually amassing a huge heavenly bank account from which by faith you withdraw the money. Well, they didn't withdraw the money. It wasn't there. So why did the message work? Or why did they prosper? Again, when you become a pastor and you get into ministry, one, you have sole control of the resources of the ministry. And if you market yourself right, understand market, then you can build a platform from which your popularity is going to grow. You should look at this. When their ministries, when their churches started off and there was like 100, 200, maybe 300 members, they wasn't driving Bentleys and certainly wasn't flying around in jet planes, even though, according to them, the size of your ministry shouldn't have mattered. Their faith and the fact that they're sowing should have afforded these things anyway, but they didn't. All right. As their ministry grew, now remember, you start off with a dynamic message, with such as faith and healing and prosperity. You deliver it in such a way you become a dynamic speaker. In other words, the way you deliver it. So now you become a speaker in demand. When your ministry reaches a certain size, you start advertising. One of the best ways people start advertising is what? Going on the radio, 15-minute spots, even in some cases, commercials. And then, of course, if your ministry grows, you then go on television. Now, television, the business of television, just like, I hate to say this, but just like a lot of times they will say that they're going on TV to spread the word of God. The reality is it's advertising. And just like TV, when you watch your favorite television, what you're watching is one big advertising machine. You see, the programming is designed to get you in front of the screen, and that's why they always have commercials. Well, the idea of a lot of the prosperity ministers and ministers who have not even ascribed to the prosperity message, the idea of going on television is exposure, is advertising. So the big payday becomes when you can write books, you get invited to speaking engagements. That's the cash cow, because when you're popular, you can command hefty fees, 6-figure fees, the more popular you are. When you look at a person like Joel Osteen, think about it. He packages a message, and he has an impressive turnout, right? Pre-COVID, he was filling in his church 45,000 people per week. The question is, all of the stuff that he teach, who has gotten that? Not even Joel himself. Remember, Joel writes books. He advertises and he writes books. You see? So the point is, why does the prosperity message work for them? Because the prosperity message doesn't work for them. There's a 1-to-1 ratio between marketing, producing a product, and of course building a platform. That's it. The reason why it doesn't work for you is because, again, there's nothing to work. Those principles in and of themselves don't work. And so, look, if you want to ask God to bless your efforts, do that. If you want to learn about business and whatever endeavor that you're going to get into, learn, and then do your due diligence. And yes, I believe God will bless your efforts. But if you're following the principles of a Kenneth Copeland, a Fred Price, Charles Capps, or Jerry Savelle, or Creflo Dollar, people like this, that's a dead end. It doesn't even work for them. Okay? So that's my perspective. Don't forget to like and share this video and subscribe to BP The Bible Perspective. And as always, if you have a thought or comment, add it to the comments section below. All comments are welcome. Till next time, I'll see you then.